Well, hello everyone, all the parents and carers out there of Denim Court Public School. My name is Anna Butler and I'm the principal, the very lucky principal of Denim Court Public School. I can't wait to meet your kids and you when COVID permits, of course, but I can't wait for your kids to start at our fabulous school. As you would be aware, we're working through, first of all, let me do an acknowledgement of country. So I'd like to, excuse me, we would like to acknowledge the Dharawal people who are the traditional custodians of this land and recognise their continuing connection to land, waters and community. We pay our respects to them and their culture and to elders both past and present, for they hold the memories, the traditions, the cultures and hopes of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples across the nation. We're very fortunate that we're on a land that also links with the Darug people. So in our community, we celebrate the coming together of Aboriginal cultures from different mobs. So we're very, very fortunate in our area of Denim Court. I'd like to continue with the welcome. I would like to welcome all of the teachers who are out there waiting to present some information to you. All of the teachers from our school are on board this evening, as well as our executive staff and our Deputy Principal, Mrs. Dempsey, who has organised coordinated tonight's presentation for you. I'd like to also welcome and acknowledge Mr. Dace Ellison. He's our Director, our Director, and he will speak in a few minutes to introduce himself and tell you a bit more about his role and a bit more about our COVID return. On the returning to school, as you would be aware via various media outlets, our return to school, or our opening of our school, to be more precise, will be on the 18th of October, starting with kindergarten and year one. Now, we understand that many of you have children who are in other grades, and many of you are also essential workers. So if you need to send your children to school from the 18th of October, we have staff on board ready to support them in their learning. But the government has asked that we try to stagger the return to school so that we can then put in place a separated lunchtime, a separated use of the toilets and things like that to reduce the risk of sharing any COVID that may be around in the community. We're, of course, going to put in all of the safety measures that we will need. We'll have sanitizer, ample sanitizer in every classroom, out in the playground, near the toilets, anywhere in the school, so that and on entry to the school, so that we're sanitising regularly. We also have, and our staff will talk about this later, access to water all day for the kids, and we have also wipes and things to continue to keep our classrooms clean and safe. We also, as a modern new school, have a very efficient air conditioning system that brings in fresh air into the environment. So we also have excellent louver systems that allow for fresh air to circulate throughout our learning hubs. So you can be assured that our classrooms, our learning hubs, are as safe as they possibly can be for a safe and happy return to school. So from the 18th, we welcome year kinder and year one and others who need to return. And from the 25th of October, we welcome all the other grades to our school. We're so looking forward to meeting your kids. Throughout this evening, the staff will introduce themselves as they present various bits of information to you. And I probably don't even need to extend any further into my welcome, except to say we are so glad to have you on here today. We have over 200 people registered for the event, and we're so happy that you're eager to find out a bit more about the school. If you have any questions throughout the evening, you'll see that at the bottom of the screen, there's a Q&A section. You can put your questions in there. Throughout the evening, staff will answer the questions, and if there's questions that come up regularly, we'll address those at the end, where we have a responding to frequently asked questions section. So on the screen, you can see that's our agenda for today. I'm going to hand over to Mr. Dace Ellison. He's going to tell you a bit about our returning to school under the department's level system. as well as welcome you to our school community. Over to you, Dave.
Thank you, Anna, and welcome everyone to what is a very exciting time. And I know that we've been waiting for this moment to happen where we can actually speak to the community and start to announce our plans to open the school. I'd like to acknowledge that I'm coming to you this evening on the lands of from the lands of the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, and I'd like to pay respect to the lands that you're coming from this evening, which will be predominantly from the Dharawal and Darug lands. I'd also like to pay respect to any Aboriginal people who are on the call this evening, and welcome everyone to what will be one of many kind of Zoom sessions, I think, that will be coming up. Now, as we return to school, we can expect that things aren't going to be normal. And can I just preface this? If you've got any questions as I speak this evening, just pop them into the questions and answers. And once I've finished, I'll go down and I'll endeavour to answer them for you. So school isn't going to be the same as what we would like it to be. So we've come from a situation where we've been in a level 4+ situation. So level 4+ was where we were restricted to the number of staff that were on site. The students on site were strictly limited to only those who absolutely needed to be there, and all other students had to be learning from home. You will have noticed in the last couple of weeks that there's been a lot of announcements from the governments. There's been a change in government, and even this morning, there's been an announcement from our new Premier regarding changes to schooling and how we are going to go back to school. Obviously, across the whole system, this creates a lot of complexity, and our job in schools is to try and make this as easy as possible for parents, but of course, make the learning as easy as possible for our students. I hope you'll agree we've had to make some tough decisions, and some of them haven't been popular, and some of those tough decisions have been around keeping our students from Denim Court School in the schools that they were previously in, rather than open our school and then have it under such restrictive 4+ measures. We hope that you would agree that with us that that the learning of your children was at the centre of all of our decision making, and will continue to be at the centre of all of our decision making from here on in. Our decision was based around the fact that if we were to keep your children in the schools where they they would be better supported by teachers that were known to them. The exciting part now is that we get to really introduce a new set of teachers to your children and introduce them to the school setting in a really kind of structured way, in a really kind of planned way. And as we go to level 3+, so we've gone from 4+, we're now down to 3+, we can actually now commence face-to-face learning. Now, I know that Anna's already mentioned this evening that kindergarten and year 1 students will be welcome from next month, from Monday week, so the 18th of October. But of course, if you are essential workers, the school is open for everyone, but we do try to encourage, where possible, just try to give us that extra week so that we can settle our kindergarten year 1 students in, get our systems or get our systems set up so that we're ready to receive the rest of the school. I know from speaking with Anna today that we are actually going to have a really lovely number of students to start with, over 200. We're predicting by October 25 when we open, and certainly the number beginning next year will be around the 500 or even more. So let's talk about level 3+, because it's an arbitrary kind of concept. What does this mean for us? Okay. So what it means is that we've reached the vaccination rate that's required. We reached that today. Okay. It means that we're going to have strategies in place to ensure the safety of your children and ensure the safety of staff as much as possible. And this will include keeping students, for example, in cohorts. So one of the reasons for getting kindergarten and year 1 to come in is because they're probably the most difficult students in terms of encouraging them to stay with their group. They are very young, they're still learning, and we'll need to spend some extra time getting them to understand exactly that they need to stay with their groups. The staff interactions will always be via physical distancing. We encourage students to wear masks. You will see staff staff members wearing masks. It might be an occasion where a staff member isn't able to wear a mask and they've got an exemption. And so you may see some staff members who don't have a mask on. So please if you do see those, if you see some people with masks, some people without, please understand that that's, we have strict processes in place for managing that. At the moment, we're not able to accept parents onto the school grounds, and that's a real shame. But we're hoping that as the term progresses and the levels go down, so we've been at 4+, now we're going to 3+, and as you can imagine, we'll go down to 2 and 1 as vaccination rates increase across the community. We will be able to accept you onto the school grounds. Okay. All adults on site have to be fully vaccinated, and I want to give that to you as an assurance. In order for a teacher to be allowed on site, they have to be fully vaccinated, and so all of our teachers this evening are fully vaccinated, or they will be by November 8. Well, in fact, beg your pardon, that's not correct, by October 18. We will have, as Anna said as well, all of the safety procedures in place, which include the sanitizer, which include encouraging students to have their own drink bottles, which includes students to be eating from their own lunch boxes and all of those kind of things that you'd expect. What I'll say to you is we're going to try and do our best. We always try to do our best. We won't always get things perfectly right. And it may be the case, and the Premier has already highlighted this to us, and the Health Minister has highlighted to us, that we may have a case of where a student contracts COVID-19. It may be the case that happens. It may be the case that a staff member does. We're all in precarious positions at the moment. The security blanket that we have is our vaccination security blanket. The department has strict protocols around deep cleaning of schools in the case where there may be a COVID-19 situation, but our absolute aim is to make sure that the continuity of learning occurs. In the case of a COVID-19 case on site, there's a deep cleaning protocol that happens. Okay, it will be the same in your workplaces. When you go back to work, there will be situations, of course, where people contract COVID-19. So I think that's basically where we're at in terms of the settings at the moment. We look forward to relaxing them. We look forward to inviting parents on board. My job is, I didn't explain this to start with, but my job is to support Anna as the principal, but also the teaching staff in the school to ensure that your children get the best quality educational provision. I take responsibility for 20 schools in the Glenfield Principals Network, so lots of the schools surrounding Denim Court are also supported by me, and I'm sure that you will see me around the school. I look forward to seeing you around the school, and I look forward to meeting your children and welcoming them to Denim Court Public School. What an exciting time. It's an interesting time, but it's definitely an exciting time, and we're so excited to open the school. I hope that you enjoy your experience at the school, the beautiful setting that it's in, the world-class facilities that we've built for your community, and the absolutely fantastic building and surrounds that we've built in Denim Court. So thank you very much. I'll go to the question and answers now while the rest of the team starts to unpack the agenda for this evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dace. Really appreciate those words, and I know that it means a lot to our staff and to our parents that you're on board with us. So thank you very much for that. I just wanted to add to that, I forgot to mention in the beginning that this is being recorded. So we'll be able to put this up on our closed YouTube channel via our website, so that you'll be able to go back and have a look at some of the messages that we've got on here for you, and possibly share some of the information with your kids later. And I also wanted to let you know that, as Dace mentioned, we won't be able to welcome parents on site just yet, but we don't want you to miss out on knowing a bit about the school that your children are coming into. So we have organised a virtual tour that we'll be putting up sometime within the next 2 weeks before your child returns to school, so that you can sit down with your child or children and have a look at the school and the environment and where they're going to be headed every day. Because we know it's going to be a bit tricky leaving kids at the gate and sending them into a place that's foreign to you and to them. So we hope that the virtual tour will help smooth that over just a little bit. And the other thing I need to let you know is that Jace also mentioned the staggered start based on cohorts. What we're going to do is make sure that we get details, final details of this out to you next week via either email, or our preference is our School Loop app, but we understand that not everyone is on the School Loop app yet. So if you're not on School Loop, please do get on that. One of the teachers will tell you a bit more about that later. But we push different information out straight to your phone via School Loop app. So look out for those two things coming to you next week. It'll be final details of what the kiss and ride situation will be like, how to drop your kids, where to drop your kids, where to pick them up from, and also what times. And then also look out for that special virtual tour that we can't wait for you to see. So I'd like to introduce now some of the services that are providing to our school. Our before and after school run by Jocelyn Whisker from Whoosh. Our uniforms, we've got Simone there from Pickles, and our canteen. I'm not sure if we have Karen, but if not, we have Stephanie Dempsey ready to talk about the canteen. So I think our first one is our after school care. Is that correct? Next slide.
Thank you, Anna. Thanks so much for inviting me along today, and I'm very excited to virtually meet the Denim Court families. Thank you so much for your patience over the last term. I know that you've been not only trying to coordinate with the school, but with us at Whoosh as well, and I appreciate that, and thank you so much. Today, I'd like to acknowledge traditional land, the custodians of the land that I'm coming to you from, and I'm in the Dorrug people country in the Ku-ring-gai area. I extend my respect to the Aboriginal elders past, present, and those emerging. I have some really good news for families that are starting at Denim Court in the coming weeks. Yesterday, we were able to finally, after a lot of lockdown waiting, do a final inspection or tour with the Department of Education and Training. It's a different department to the area of the Department of Education that's opening Denim Court. We're working with the department that looks after childcare and after school care services. So they did a virtual tour yesterday and they were very happy with the space. And so we've been confirmed that we can open. We're just waiting on that paperwork now. As soon as we get that paperwork, which I expect in the coming days, we will finalise our childcare subsidy. And fingers crossed, we are planning to have that all ready for the 18th. So we are on track and planning to be at the school from the 18th. And we also will welcome children from year kindy to year 6 if you're essential workers. But our general feed at that date will be for kindergarten and year 1. So you can contact us on our email that we've been talking to you on, and we can confirm those start dates for you. Just like at school, all of our team members will be fully vaccinated, and we will also follow the safety and health procedures by wearing a mask, sanitising, and any other of those steps that you would expect for us to take. So we will be there. On the first morning, for the first few weeks, while it might be your child's first day, we will be meeting you near that front gate on, I believe that's Willowdale Drive. We will have a team member there because you can't come onto the school site just yet. So we'll be meeting you at the gate. Children won't get lost, or they won't be walking into the school, not sure where to go. We'll be there to meet you and to say hello as well at that entrance point. And when you collect, you just come to that gate again, and we'll have a team member assigned there to help you and your child get together. So it's just the one entry, and we will be there.
Jocelyn, it's actually Commissioners Drive.
Commissioners,
so
sorry, I was
to the school. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Anna. I was umming and ahhing. Commissioners Drive on the front there. My I've got on the bottom of this slide and the next one, my phone number. You can call me directly and you can do that from tomorrow morning. If you have questions or if you haven't yet got your offer, we are doing offers right now for term 4 and the beginning, term 4 and the beginning of term 1. And we can also book you in for holiday care, which the dates are just on this slide for you as well. Holiday care, we'll do that from December before Christmas, because there is a week between school and Christmas itself, and we'll be back on the 3rd of January for you. So if you haven't booked those yet and you would like to, then please feel free to give me a contact tomorrow. And I can also help if there's any questions, if that's okay, in the Q&A box. If anyone has any other questions, I'm happy to contribute there. But thanks so much for having us at your school. We're really looking forward to working with you. You know, thanks again for your patience. You know, and I know it's been a long time coming for some of you.
Thank you, Jocelyn. And now I think we have Simone from Pickles Uniforms to talk about our fabulous school uniform.
Hi, Anna. Thank you. And welcome everybody. I wish to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which I'm coming from today, and that is and pay my respects to the elders past, future and present. I'm coming from the Camaragal people. So thank you all very much for being so patient with everything and inviting me today. Pickles are really excited to meet everybody and see all the kids in their beautiful new uniform. It has been a very challenging time, and I thank you all very much for your patience and understanding whilst we work through the situation. So if you haven't already placed your orders online, I suggest that you jump on and get onto that straight away. And we will deliver them to the school, which is what our hope is going forward. But we will organise a communication around when we will be able to do that. If you wish to have them delivered to your house, that is no problem. You can just pop the delivery fee through to get it delivered directly to your home. So it's very straightforward on the landing page, which you can see on step 3. Oh, hang on, we're almost, yeah, okay, sorry. Just select your school from the drop-down menu, and on that landing page is all the information that you need to know about ordering. Shop now, you've got the size guide, which should help you with the online sizing. And then you just select your item, pop it into the cart, and then at the checkout, that's where you select whether it's free delivery to school, which we still need to map that out. Otherwise, you can get it delivered to your house. If you've got any questions about your order, I'm happy to answer any questions tonight on the chat. So just pop your question in there and I'll do my best to answer those. Otherwise, you can go to our website and just go to the contact us, and make sure you pop your order number in so that we can track. We're working on a very skeleton staff still at the moment, and we will get back to you as soon as we can. We have received a lot of the stock that I know that some of you are waiting for, and we are trying to work through all of those orders at the moment. So hopefully by the end of next week, you should have absolutely everything that you have ordered and have been waiting for.
Simone, can I jump in there? You're very popular tonight because the chat is alive with conversation around the uniform.
Sure.
So there is a couple of people who are saying that the uniform doesn't fit. What should parents do in that sense?
So we just need to, because we don't have access to the school, we do need to work out a process where we can get those items returned. So once that we've been able to map that out, we will organise an exchange process. So we will put something on the school loop once Anna and I've worked out how we're actually going to make that process as smooth and easy as possible.
Rightio. So we've got some issues with items being out of stock. There are problems with delivery. Should that actually, Anna, should that stop people sending their children to school in the first instance while we iron out these problems?
Yeah, no, not at all. We've had a lot of conversations with people. We've been doing some enrolment meetings this week in readiness, and we've just been saying if the uniform hasn't arrived on time, please just wear either their old school uniform or black or dark grey bottoms and a plain coloured polo top. So don't go to any great expense or anything like that. But we'll accept any uniform. We'd rather that kids don't come in their very best muffy clothes, but just something nice and plain and useful for school. And then as the uniform stocks arrive, then people can come in the uniform from there. So please don't let not having the uniform hold you back.
So can I just address that? We have received a lot of deliveries this week as things have slowly started to open up. So you'll find that everybody should have everything that they ordered by the end of next week. We're just working through unpacking all of that stock and getting all those orders, the back orders processed. So there shouldn't be any issues with supply by the end of next week. Everyone should have everything.
Fantastic.
Well,
that's great news.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some questions in here, Anna, around the collection of the uniforms now that the stock has come in.
Yes. So if people have opted for it to be delivered to the school, I think, Simone, we were talking about possibly next week or very soon having a collection point at the school. So we have one of our buildings, and once the stock is delivered to the school, Simone alerts the teachers, alerts the parents, that they can come and pick it up from the school. So those messages will start coming out about when people can come and pick up the uniforms, and then they can just come in. We've got the building across from the admin block that we're going to be using for that. So people can come straight in and sanitize on the way in and then straight out again. So it should be a very easy process.
Okay, fantastic. And just a couple of small questions here. Do the children have to wear hats? And another question is here regarding what about exchanging? By the looks of it, a parent here has bought a winter uniform and now doesn't need it, and so she'd like to exchange that for a summer uniform.
Yeah, if anyone needs to make any exchange, I just suggest going to the contact us. Make sure you have your order number handy so we can make sure we can identify that particular order, and then our staff will be able to get in touch with you to organise an exchange. So this is where it gets a bit tricky because all the stock has just arrived and we're trying very quickly to try, with minimal staff, is unpack all of that stock and then get it all sent out. So what I ask is you accept your order as you had previously ordered it, and then we'll facilitate an exchange. If you just give us a few more days to get that process up and running, we're almost there. So, and we'll be able to organise that through this delivering to the school.
In regard to the hats question, yes, a hat will be compulsory school wear and it will be a school hat, and the teachers are addressing that a little bit later in the presentation.
Okay, I think that's the end of the questions, and you've got the web address, parents, to send your other questions through if you think of some others later. And
as Simone said, if you would like to contact her, then you can do that through our school website. You click on the tile that says uniforms, it directly takes you to Pickles, and there's a contact us button there. So you can directly contact Simone and her staff about anything to do with uniforms. They're very approachable and they work hard, although short-staffed at the moment because of restrictions, that will improve in the coming weeks. Thank you, Simone. And now we're going to have a look at all things about the canteen, and I'm not sure if Karen has been able to join us. she had a very ill puppy this week, so she's had to have a bit of a medical emergency there. So Stephanie, are you doing this, or is Karen with
I am. No, I am doing it, as Karen isn't able to be with us tonight. So I am Stephanie Dempsey, the Deputy Principal. Some of you have already seen me on another webinar or at the shops, and lots of you have been emailing me. So hopefully my name is already a familiar name, and now you are seeing the face to that name. So as Anna said, Karen's unable to be with us this evening, but she is the licensee of the Canteen, and she is running a whole lot of canteens in a lot of different schools. So she's a very experienced canteen vendor, and is very familiar with all of the things that go along with the canteen, which is fabulous. So hopefully it'll be a smooth start to our canteen, and you will hopefully think that it's a wonderful experience, and she has a lot to offer. So some things that she just asked me to have a quick chat about was just a little bit of a welcome. So she's very excited to come to our school and add our school to one of her schools that she provides canteen services for. She's a very enthusiastic businesswoman, which is lovely. And she's very excited to, particularly now that we are actually opening, she's very excited to come along and get in there and start serving the kids some wonderful food. So she will hopefully be in the canteen quite frequently, but if not, there will be other workers there that you'll be able to, once you're allowed on site, but the kids will also be able to become familiar with, and hopefully have a pleasurable canteen experience. The two key things she would like me to mention is just the online ordering. So on the right hand side of the screen, you can see that there is a simple way to do some online ordering, which is very important in these current restrictions. This will allow you to still order your children lunch if you wish, without needing to come onto the school site. So on that, you can see underneath the three images, there is a website that you need to go to sign up and register. And then from there, you can enter in your particular payment type of information so that they have all of those details saved for you. And then you can place your order and pay for it. And it's simple as that. It all then goes through to Karen, and she then sorts out those lunches every single day. So it's very simple. And if you need any help with that, again, we can definitely point you in the direction of Karen to help you with that registration. But hopefully it's a pretty straightforward process.
Stephanie, just one question here regarding the canteen from a parent. They're saying, is the canteen going to be available from day one?
Yes. I've had a conversation with Karen today, and she was just checking in to see where we were at in terms of opening our school. And I have let her know the 18th is the day we are opening. So she was ready to open in term 3. So she's stocked and ready to go. The canteen is all set up. She is prepped and ready. So yes, we will be fully operational with our canteen on the first day of school, the 18th. So just here you can see the menu that she has on offer. She does have gluten-free options as well as some halal options as well. So she's covering some of those dietary requirements. And I think she also has available quite regularly some sort of daily specials, some things that she has potentially just whipped up that day as sort of an additional thing that the kids can buy during lunch and recess. So in terms of ordering, you can order anything you would like to order for them, but the children can also come along with a couple of dollars to the canteen and purchase anything during their break times as well. So lots of options, and we've already put these on our website, I'm pretty sure, but I will double check that after we finish here and make sure that they are in there within that newsletter section where we are putting everything that you need to read. So you'll be able to have a little look at the menu as well. Beautiful. This is me as well. So I will continue. So I just wanted to clarify, we're getting a lot of questions from parents about not receiving confirmation that their children are enrolled and will be starting with Denim Court. So I just wanted to run through that with you a little bit so that I can put your mind at ease. Firstly, the fact you're receiving emails to come to our Zooms definitely means that we have received your enrolment forms and that you are on our distribution list of emails. So already we know about you. You are someone who is, we are aware of you. We have your enrollment details. That's where we've gotten your email address from. So if you're unsure whether you are accepted into Denim Court, please do not wait for a letter or a phone call or anything like that to say, yes, you are attending Denim Court. If you are in the area, which you can check on this website that says schoolfinder.education.nsw.gov.au, on that website, you can put in your street address and it will tell you what your local government school is. And if it says Denim Court, then you are someone who is accepted into our school. It is not something where there is a wait list or anything like that. If we are your local school, you are accepted into our school. The only time that you would receive some sort of confirmation letter or conversation around acceptance is if you are someone who is applying out of area. So when you do that search on School Finder, it actually says that we are not your local school. It might suggest that a different school such as Leppington or Barty or Preston's are your local school. And then that means you need to apply for an out of area position. All of that the application for that you can find on our school website under the enrolment tab. And that is the only time then that you would receive an outcome letter or a phone call or a conversation around whether or not your application has been successful. So as I say, if you are unsure, please check that website. It's really quite easy. There's an image of it just down in that bottom corner where you can see it saying, I'm looking for a primary school, and then you enter your address and it will tell you that, that Denim Court or whichever school is your local school will pop up there for you. Once you've done that, hopefully a lot of you have been getting either an email or you have already met with us. We had a lot of enrolment interviews back in term 2 before COVID restricted us around that. And if not, some of you have been coming in and dropping off your paperwork the last few weeks as well. So if you are someone who has not given us your paperwork, which includes your proof of address, just us seeing your child's birth certificate and immunisation records, all of those you can see in the bottom corner there. Please contact us if you haven't received an email already about finalising that enrolment. Otherwise, if you have already met with us, you are coming to our school and your enrolment is finalised. We will see you on the first day that you attend.
Hi, my name is Ashley Catanzariti. I'm one of the assistant principals here at Denim Court Public School, and this year I will be supervising stage 2. And also with me is one of our other assistant principals, Ashlyn Krilich, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Ashlyn Krilich. I'm also an assistant principal at Denim Court Public School, and I'll be supervising the K-2 students alongside Stephanie as well. So Ashley and I today are just going to chat a little bit about our curriculum, and we just want to share a few things about, I suppose, the approach that we're taking to teaching and learning at Denim Court Public School. So just like your current public school, we will utilise and address in every classroom all of our key learning areas. This will be balanced across all key learning areas. You can see this is a little pie chart that this is how teachers might break up their day, or the amount of teaching and learning that happens in all the different areas. Now, also too, something that we are developing quite well is we're working on an integrated approach. So using lots of learning in English, not just solely our English, but integrating our science or our maths and mathematics as well, to make sure our students are very well rounded in their knowledge. And also to just to clarify, in our syllabuses, they're actually broken up into stages. So you'll find early stage 1 is kindergarten, stage 1 is years 1 and 2, stage 2 is years 3 and 4, and stage 3 is years 5 and 6. So some of our class structures this year are stage-based. So our year 1 and 2 will be in a stage-based class. Whether this continues next year, we're not sure. It's a bit of we're just going to see what our numbers bring to us and see how we can work with that. But just to assure you that just because a student is in year 1 or is in year 2, they are still both working in the same syllabus and the same part of the syllabus, I should say. And it is a continuum of learning through those stages. Yeah, so we'll just go on to the next one.
At Denim Court Public School, we will be accessing a range of pedagogies. And as you can see from this diagram, some of those pedagogies we will be using is explicit teaching. We know that this is very important, particularly in our English and maths syllabus documents. And also we'll be accessing some inquiry pedagogies, which you may or may not be familiar with. And these include project-based learning and play-based learning. We ensure in our classrooms that we have a balanced approach to teaching and learning, and that we will balance between explicit teaching and inquiry pedagogies.
Something else that I know we've answered lots of questions on when we've had face-to-face meetings is homework. So at Denim Court Public School, we will support homework. And you can see here, these are just some statements that I've taken from the department's policy on homework. And we will support that. So just keep in mind though, that homework may take shape in a variety of different ways. It could include reading practice, maths consolidation, open-end tasks, interest-based or research-based tasks. It will look different across the year and in different times across the year, depending on the learning that's happening in the classroom. And just also on the note of homework, we will work towards giving out homework to the middle after we've met our students. So the teachers give teachers the chance to get to know them and the students to settle into their school routines. And towards the middle of the term, they may start to bring home some pieces of things from school to work on at home. They might be projects, or they might be, again, maths consolidation activities or open-ended tasks. So you will be able to see that, as they begin to settle into their new school setting.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Hannah Williams. I'm one of the assistant principals and I'll be looking after stage 3 this year, so year 5 and 6. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about our wellbeing policy. So I'll start with our behaviour code and our student behaviour strategy for students. This student behaviour strategy aims to increase student engagement through evidence-based positive behaviour support. By fostering connected and cohesive and a safe and learning environment requires a whole school community approach. And this new strategy aims to strengthen relationships between schools, families, and communities. The behaviour strategy is a strategic, integrated, whole school approach. We believe the creation of a positive and safe learning environment best enables students to learn and engage at school. This requires student behaviour, learning, wellbeing, mental health support to be integrated at a strategic and systems level and delivered as a whole school coordinated approach moving forward. One of the ways we anticipate to do that is by looking at GLAS's 5 basic needs. So linking with the behaviour strategy, our school will be implementing Dr. William Glasser's 5 basic needs. At Denim Court Public School, we believe in the theory of Dr. William Glasser, which is choice theory. And this states that all our behaviour is internally motivated, that it comes from within us and is chosen as a response to the information our bodies receive from the outside world. We believe that all behaviour is purposeful and that it's carried out to meet one of our 5 basic needs. These basic needs include survival, fun, power, love and belonging, and freedom. Our aim at Denim Court Public School is to teach our students new and more appropriate strategies to replace their unsuccessful learned behaviours. We'll now move on to total behaviour and what that looks like, and Ashley Cantanzariti will be talking about that.
At Denim Court Public School, we will be using Dr. William Glasser's Total Behaviour Car to help our kids understand and take control of their behaviour. According to Dr. Glasser, all behaviour is total behaviour, made up of 4 components: acting, thinking, feeling, and physiology, which is our body's response. All 4 components are present all the time, and we name our current behaviour by the most obvious component. Like the wheels of a car, if one wheel changes direction or speed, the others follow. According to Glasser, we choose all of our behaviours. The component we have the most control over is acting. The next most easily controlled component is our thinking. Therefore, if we want to change the way we are feeling emotionally or physically, the most effective thing to do is to change what we are doing. When we are in a situation that upsets us or makes us angry, the back wheels of our car take control. To make sure our car doesn't go out of control, we need to change our acting and thinking so we are in control and our behaviour is what we want it to be.
Hi, I'm Ashanarayan, Stage 2 teacher at Denim Court Public School, and I will be speaking to you about two different things. One is the hub overview, and the other would be about the learning spaces. So at Denim Court Public School, we incorporate an innovative and future-focused educational model, including open teaching and learning areas alongside modern specialist teaching spaces. We endeavour to create an environment where staff and students collaborate in their learning through an innovative and negotiated curriculum that is designed to empower our students. In the next slide, we will be speaking about David Thornburg's learning spaces. So we have implemented futurist David Thornburg's learning environments to guide the use of our learning spaces. These visual images will allow students to actively consider the types of learning that is required and how the physical space needs to alter to support the learning that is taking place. These images will be clearly displayed in each learning hub across K-6 and will be used in conjunction with our learning environment. For the first one, the campfire, it is a gathering place to learn from an expert. It's also a place where experts are considered to be teachers and students who are empowered to share their learning. The waterhole is an informal space where peers can share their information and discoveries. Additionally, it is a shared space that can serve as an incubator of ideas and promote sense of shared space. The cave is a private space for the individuals to think, reflect, and transform their learning. Life is a space to apply knowledge in the real world, and it's also a place to reinforce our learning of understanding of learning. And finally, the mountaintop is a place where one person or a group communicates towards the rest of the world using what they have learned.
Hi there, my name is Bryan and I'm the teacher librarian at Denim Court Public School. So I just want to share a bit with you about the library space. So we are really fortunate to have an absolutely gorgeous, light and airy library learning space. So if you see up in the top left-hand corner, surrounded by the orange box, it's a multi-storey, two-level space that takes up the entirety of the second and third levels of Block A, which is located directly above the office admin block. So if you are coming from outside of the school and want to directly access the library, when the particular gates are open, we are accessible via Willowdale Drive, and you can see the arrow that's pointing to that staircase. So it's an absolutely gorgeous space. Similar to the learning hubs, we also follow the similar style of Thornburg's learning spaces. We do have flexible learning spaces in the library and flexible furniture that can be arranged and rearranged to support the learning needs of the students, whatever that may be at whatever particular learning experience that might be. So the learning space itself considers, obviously, with regards to the more specific library, shelving and book areas, but we also have podium seating for presentation type spaces, whether it be teaching learning opportunities or also author or other special visits. Also on the top floor, we have a little study sort of space, nook, quiet area as well. Down on the main space, we have seated areas, traditional sort of style seated areas. We have quiet spaces for the children to enjoy, enjoy the literacy. We also have, we're going to be using plenty of technology in the library spaces, just like in the library learning hubs. We have interactive whiteboards. There are two in the library space. Also, it'll be covered later in the presentation, but we'll also be able to access the BYOD devices that the students in the higher grades will be bringing in. But also we have some iPads and Chromebooks that will be available also for the younger students. So at the moment, our collection of resources is growing. We've purchased over 1,000 quality texts that are already purchased, entered into our system and ready to be enjoyed and used. We will have book borrowing available. I know some questions have popped up with regards to library bags. Library bags are available through the Pickles website. So in the centre of the screen, you can see the library bag that is available, a library/excursion bag that's sort of multi-purpose. It does have the school logo. However, this is an optional purchase if you would like to go ahead and purchase that. However, if you would like to also bring your own library bag from home, that's fine. Or what we request is that just it's like a sturdy bag that's waterproof, that will protect the books while they're in your possession. And we'll have a number of library initiatives. We'll be a scholastic book club school, so you'll be able to order online for your child for books to be enjoyed at home. A few other library initiatives. We'll be celebrating things like Book Week, and we'll also have other things where students could get involved in. It's going to be very much a student-led sort of celebration learning space, including like having library monitors and things like that. So it's a beautiful space that your students will get lots of use out of and enjoy very much.
I would now like to introduce the technology team to talk about the technology throughout the school.
Our presenter, Steve, is just having a technical difficulty. He is popping up right now.
I am having some technical difficulties and I'm talking about technology, so that's fabulous. Good evening, everyone. My name's Steve Evans. I'm one of the Stage 3 teachers. I am talking here tonight about technology at school. Obviously, with Denim Court being a brand new school, we are limited in relation to the amount of resources that we've been able to purchase for the school. We have been very fortunate that we were given quite a substantial funding at the initial stage, which has enabled us to buy a number of Chromebook laptop devices that will be used predominantly from 3 to 6, as well as a large supply of iPads that we're going to use from K to 6. To augment that supply, we're starting a BYOD program for iPads for years 3 to 6. A lot of schools are now doing this. The last 2 schools I've worked at have had very successful BYOD programs. Our BYOD program will involve iPads only, and the reason we've selected to go down the iPad only is it lines up with what we will be using in the classroom, and it makes it easy for the students to move between different programs and different things we'll be doing in the class. Well, the requirements for that, it needs to be an iGeneration 6 or above to meet the requirements for our Wi-Fi systems. It must have a robust and protective case. It must be fully charged at home before each school day. If we've got, when we get our learning hubs up to their full capacity of nearly 100 students, it's going to be impossible for us to charge that many iPads through the day. So it's really important that students come prepared with their iPads fully charged. Checking in and out every day. We will have the iPads at the start of the day. Students will bring them, a teacher outside the hubs will check them in and put them in a secure location. And then at the end of the day, they'll be checked out and given back to the students in turn, put in their bags to take home. As a school, we have a goal of 1-to-1 devices for 3 to 6. What that means is eventually what we'd like to see is every student has access to a device that they could be using in the classroom for their learning. We are really committed to developing students to become digital citizens in our rapidly changing technological world. In simple terms, we're trying to get our students ready for a world that we don't know, that we are still seeing what's going to come. The jobs of them that they will be doing haven't been invented yet, but our job will be to get them ready to do that. We are starting to build up our resources in relation to robotics. So We have got some initial robots on loan. We're going to be using the department's loan system for a lot of robotics and coding and 3D technologies. And we will be over time building these capacities within so that we can give a really wide, broad and rich learning experience in relation to technology for our students. Before any student can do BYOD at school, it is really important that they fill in the student agreement. You can see that in the top right-hand corner. That needs to be signed by them and it needs to be signed by you. And that has a set of rules and expectations for how that device is used each and every day at the classroom. Once that agreement is returned to school, the student can bring their iPad every day and they'll be using that iPad for their own use throughout the day. Thank you.
Hello and welcome again to everyone. I'm Christy Reddy and I'm a Stage 3 teacher on Year 5 and 6. So I'm just going to talk a little bit, very briefly about student leadership at Denim Court Public School. So all of our teachers are committed to empowering students by really enhancing student voice, agency and leadership. We recognise that all students have the potential and capacity to lead, and we're here to guide and support them every step of the way. We understand that student leadership includes, but also goes beyond formal leadership programs for elected student leaders, and that students can be leaders in so many ways, including in the classroom, in the playground, on the sporting field, in extracurricular groups, or through school community or cultural activities. So at Denim Court Public School, we'll be providing an abundance of leadership opportunities for students from Year 6 all the way down to kindergarten. We really look forward to getting to know our students, to developing their capacity to lead and working with them to build their skills in public speaking, their skills in communication, collaboration and discussion, as well as enhancing their confidence and skills in active citizenship.
Good evening, I'm Mrs. Kerry Matter. I'm one of the Stage 2 teachers, Years 3 and 4, and also the Aboriginal Education Coordinator for Denim Court Public School. I'm just going to be talking about our whole school initiatives. At Denim Court Public School, we value and prioritise school initiatives as this allows all students and the whole school community to deepen, foster and embed new knowledge and opportunities for our students. There's no particular order as I go through them. There's a few of them that we've organised and conducted all together as a whole school, as a staff. I'll start with our student voice team. Our student voice team will aim to empower students to have an active voice, choice, influence and successfully work together in our classrooms, schools and communities. The student voice team will establish whole school leadership opportunities and classroom practices that give students agency. Another whole school initiative is teaching sprints. Teaching sprints which align with our numeracy and literacy framework. So teaching sprints is a pedagogical framework that enhances the expertise of teachers using evidence-informed research and practices that positively impact student learning. Another whole school initiative is our Sustainability and Environment Committee. The Environment and Sustainability Committee aims to promote a school-wide culture that values environment and sustainability and meaningfully embeds this value into Denim Court Public School's everyday practice. Another whole school initiative is our community engagement team. Community engagement is working towards building strong, authentic partnerships with our families and the wider school community. This includes developing relationships with our families to ensure your children are supported in the best possible way we can, local external services such as health professionals that support our students in school, our local businesses and other organisations. We aim to build a strong positive name for Denim Court Public School and empower our school and wider community to be an integral part of our successes. Each committee have started to meet on a regular basis, and soon it is our vision to have students in the whole school community to become part of these initiatives and teams. Another committee and team is the School Reference Group, or the SRG team. We'll be working closely with the Department of Education School Learning Environments and Change, also known as SLEC, team to develop a clear vision and plan to fully maximise the innovative learning environment that is Denim Court Public School. Our developed plan will not only provide support and learning for school staff, but for the whole school community. The Aboriginal education team are committed to build strong connections to relationships with and respect for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander culture through the whole school community. We will continue to foster deep understanding of knowledge and culture around Aboriginal education through the school and the wider school community. Our sport committee. The sport committee aims to create a school that has a strong and inclusive attitude to the importance that sport plays in developing confident and well-rounded students. We have a technology committee. The technology committee will be responsible for ensuring that staff have up-to-date knowledge and are provided with ongoing professional development in order to provide students with rich technology experiences. The technology team will also facilitate the purchasing and organisation of technologies throughout the school. We have a performing arts committee. The Performing Arts Committee at Denim Court Public School, aspire to instill a passion and love for the creative and performing arts within all aspects of the school culture, providing a range of whole school and wider community experiences for all students, families and colleagues where the performing arts are celebrated. There will be many opportunities for students to engage in a range of extracurricular activities, including debating, public speaking, choir, dance, visual arts and drama. We have a team working for our whole school events. The whole school events committee aim to create a school where students, teachers, and the wider school community are holistically involved in fostering engagement and contributions that are inclusive of celebrations and commemorations. For example, celebrating Harmony Day, Anzac Day, Book Week, and a whole school photo day. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, hi, I'm Jenny Goodhue and I'll be in charge of sport. I'm not sure why my picture's not coming up. I'm in part of the sporting team and I'm a teacher of stage 3. So I'll be working with Mr. Evans and Mrs. Reddy. So at Denim Court Public School, we'll be part of the newly created MacArthur zone for our sport. The Razorback used to be the main zone team or zone area, but it's become so big with so many schools now that we've had to split. So we're now part of a newly created MacArthur zone. For sport at school, students will need to wear their sports shirt and their appropriate footwear. K-2 sport will be in their own hubs, and you'll be notified of the day for your child's particular hub for their sport. 3 to 6 sport will be on a Friday for the rest of this year and more than likely next year as well. And the students in 3 to 6 will be learning skills and team participation. There will also be various clinic days offered throughout 2022 and many other opportunities for our students to engage in sports. So PWSA gala days and school carnivals for 3 to 6 only and in 2022 and onwards. PWSA gala days are only for students in years 3 to 6. So our summer sports teams will be T-ball, softball, which is mixed teams. League tag is mixed. Touch football is also mixed. There'll be girls cricket teams, boys cricket teams, and also mixed cricket teams. And then the winter sports will be rugby league, which is for boys only. Hockey and netball are both mixed, so boys are more than welcome to join in for the netball teams. There'll be girls soccer, boys soccer, and mixed AFL teams. Some dates to put in your calendar. Our swimming carnival is already booked for next year. It's on Wednesday, the 16th of February at Macquarie Fields Leisure Centre. And this will be for all students in years 3 to 6 and those in year 2 who are turning 8, but they must be competent swimmers and be able to swim correctly, the strokes correctly. Our cross country is still to be confirmed as far as a date for that and a location. And then our athletics carnival will be on Monday, the 29th of August at Campbelltown Stadium. Thank you.
Hi everyone, we have 3 teachers who will be presenting this section. So first, my name is Amy Phillips and I will be one of the stage 1 teachers.
Hi everyone, my name's Miss Sini. I'm also one of the Stage 1 teachers.
And my name is Kate Tischler, and I'll also be on Stage 1 and assisting with some of the Performing Arts Committee work, which I'm quite excited about. So if we go on to the next slide, basically the creative and performing arts at this stage will be composed of drama, choir, dance, public speaking, debating and visual arts. We will be conducting a survey early next year at some point with parents, just to gauge an idea as to what families and students are doing outside of school hours, and what they would like to see embedded within the culture of Denim Court Public School. So we're quite excited to start working with these. We've already started with some of our committees and having those teams meet to get some activities and tasks ready to start developing those groups for this year that will carry on into the next year.
So we are looking at having a large variety of lunchtime clubs designed to spark students' interest and provide engaging extracurricular activities for the children. So at this stage, we're just looking at a few things like environment and garden group, some sports skills during lunchtime, maybe a sewing club and some chess clubs, but there's many more clubs to come, and that will depend on, as Kate had mentioned, that utilising the survey to find out students' interests and things that they would like to be involved with.
One of the extracurricular activities that we will be offering is the ICAS assessments. ICAS is designed to recognise academic excellence. Students will be assessed on their ability to apply classroom learning to new contexts using higher order thinking and problem solving skills. Assessments are for students in years 2 to 6, and they're conducted online. Again, we will be looking at multiple other extracurricular activities, but a survey will be taken to determine these.
Good afternoon. My name is Samantha Lewis, and I'll be in Stage 1.
Sorry, Sam, didn't mean to cut you off. My name is Ebony Fishbar, and I'm also a Stage 1 teacher.
Sorry, and I'm Leanne Smith and I'll be teaching kindergarten, and in this section we're going to be looking at the playground, and we thought we would begin by just discussing playground supervision. And as Anna and Dace have already mentioned, please be aware that for the rest of term 4 we will be taking a staggered approach to arrival times and our playground times as well, just to ensure that staff and students are their health and safety are maintained. Okay, I'd just like to draw your attention to our bell times, and you'll notice that our playground opens at 8:40 in the morning. This means that there will be a teacher on duty at that time to supervise students playing on the playground. If a child does arrive at school before this time, they will be asked to sit down and just wait for that bell to ring and for that teacher to be on duty, just for safety reasons. Now, throughout the day, the children will be given time to eat. In the morning, throughout the morning session, children will be provided with crunch and sip time, and this is just a time for the students to refuel their brain, eating some fruits or some vegetables and having some sips of water. The eating times that we are providing them will be in the students' hub rooms, and they'll be supervised by the hub teachers, and they'll be asked to be seated in an area that the teacher has determined with the class. Now, the reason that these eating times are supervised is, just as has already been mentioned, just so that we can make sure that students are sanitizing their hands before they are eating, and just to check that they are not sharing their food with their friends. Now, when eating time is over, students will be allowed to go onto the playground and play, and it means the hub areas will then be out of bounds, and this is something that Mrs. Lewis will be talking a little bit more about in a moment. Now, because the hub areas will be out of bounds, students won't be able to access their school bags. So we'll be encouraging them to take all of the things that they think they might need for playtime out with them onto the playground. So that's things like their hats, in the colder weather, they might need their jumpers, they might want to take their drink bottles, and if they haven't finished eating, they might like to take their lunch boxes with them. Now, we do encourage parents that you do label all of your children's belongings, not only with their first name, but also with their last name, just to make sure that it's easier for us to return belongings that are found on the playground if your child may have left it there.
To follow on from what Mrs. Smith said, the students will be taken on a tour of the school and these out-of-bound areas will be clearly identified. All teachers on duty will be clearly visible as we will be wearing a fluoro vest and will be carrying a first aid bag. The playground at lunch and recess will have high teacher supervision. As you can see on the map, there will be a teacher on duty in each highlighted area. There will also be a roaming teacher on duty that will be regularly checking the out-of-bounds areas that is highlighted in yellow. At the end of lunch and recess, students will be required to independently make their way to their hubs, individual meeting points to meet their teachers.
Okay, so these are some images of our beautiful playground. As you can see, there's gorgeous grass and it's a really large space. It's quite open. There are other areas of the playground that we can't see in these images. Hopefully you'll be able to see them very soon. On our next slide, so this is again a bit of a layout of what our grounds look like. So we have a large oval, we have concrete court areas as well, and we have an undercover cola area. During lunch and recess time, there are 2 bathroom blocks that all of our students have access to. There's also 2 bubbler areas that are attached to one of the toilet blocks just below the concrete court, so you can see there. We also have a concreted sitting space that has trees and chairs that becomes a quiet space for children to sort of hang out in. As you can see in the photo, the trees are still very young at the moment, so it doesn't provide shade for our students at the moment, but eventually it will. When that time comes, this will be one of the areas that children can move to if in the event that they don't have their hat on that day. As we said earlier, children are required to wear their hats when they are on the playground. It happens all the time. We forget our hats or we lose them. In that event, children will just be asked to move to the undercover cola area, the sitting space when we do have shade, underneath the tree, or in the other undercover areas that we have available in the grounds. With the COVID at the moment, it's a big concern for us and children needing to use the bubbler areas. We do have water bottle fill stations, so not to worry, children can just bring their water bottles and refill them up as opposed to having to use the bubblers in a traditional way. The other thing is at the moment, we don't have climbing or structural equipment on our playground. However, children are encouraged to bring their own sporting equipment if they so wish. They can also borrow that sporting equipment. So our beautiful sports committee will be providing different sports equipment for us to use during those play times. And yeah, the other thing, sorry, I forgot to mention is if you do bring things, if your child brings things into the school, any equipment, please again, just make sure that it's labeled so that it doesn't go missing. Thanks so much.
Good evening, I'm Brittany Johnson. I'm one of the early stage 1 teachers.
And I'm Mary Marcus and I'm also one of the early stage 1 teachers.
For this part of the presentation, we are going to discuss classroom resources. Our focus will be on the available classroom resources within our learning hubs and touch on the list of suggested resources for your child to bring to school with them.
Thanks, Brittany. So as mentioned, I'll be telling you a little bit about the resources that will be available in the classrooms. At Denim Court Public School, we are very fortunate to have innovative learning hubs that are equipped with all of the necessary resources that students will need in their day-to-day learning. So regarding furniture, it's important to acknowledge the impact of our physical environment and how and what impact it can have on students and their ability to learn. So in saying this, our hubs have a range of different flexible furniture that is easy to move and restructure, including things like jelly bean tables, wobble stools, whiteboard surfaces, tiered seating, nooks, and bag hooks as well. We also have a wide selection of learning resources that are specific to each stage group within the hub. Students will have access to things like stationery, lots of different art supplies, reading books, whether they are leveled or not leveled, literacy and numeracy resources as well that are stage appropriate and hands-on. And K2 will also have access to different play resources as well. And finally, technology will also be a tool that will be integrated throughout the different key learning areas to promote some of our key values of collaboration and engagement as well. So within the hubs, students and teachers will have access to interactive whiteboards, and many of them in different hubs, and iPad devices as well, which was touched on earlier.
Thanks, Mary. So I'm going to talk about student resources. If you're unfamiliar what this is our resource list for 2021. Basically, it's just a suggested list of resources that your child can bring to school with them. Of course, depending on the year your child is in, there are different suggested resources. So we've broken each list down into the different stages. So as you can see, early stage 1 for kindergarten, stage 1 for years 1 and 2, stage 2 for years 3 and 4, and stage 3 for years 5 and 6. So feel free to have a look at what's listed based on your child's year group. Just to emphasize with this list that it's not mandatory, it is just a suggestion. We're very fortunate to have supplies already within our learning hubs, so your child will still have access to everything they need for their learning here at DCPS. If your child is bringing resources, they don't have to be new. We'd encourage for students just to bring any of the resources they've already been using for this school year. And of course, due to COVID restrictions, we completely understand people may have not been able to access resources. So just a reminder that none of these are essential for the first day. If you do, however, have any inquiries about resources when your child returns to school, I'm sure the classroom teachers will be happy to help and clarify anything mentioned within the learning hubs or within the list of resources. Additionally, we would also like to recommend that if your child is bringing resources to school along with any personal items, that they are labelled with your child's full name. And finally, before I finish, if you do want a copy or to see this list at a later time, it is available for you to access anytime on the School Loop app.
Good evening, families. My name is Ashley Watson, and I'm one of the Stage 2 teachers at Denim Court Public School. It's important that over the next couple of weeks, we get students back into a school routine. Bedtime is one of the hardest transitions. Students may be accustomed to going to sleep and waking up later during remote learning. So a new school with new times may be difficult for students to adjust to. Having a conversation with your child about having a bedtime schedule can assist with creating clear structures and expectations for your child. Some students want more time watching their favorite TV show or video game, and setting time limits can be a great way to put a boundary around the winding down time that they need each evening before going to bed. Also discuss with your child what their morning routine will look like at home and how they will travel to school. Inform them of the morning bell times. 8:40 a.m. is when the playground opens and 9:10 is the bell for class time. Set your child up for success with clear expectations and simple step-by-step instructions before school returns. To allow students to adapt to our break times, it might be a good idea to schedule lunch and recess according to our break times that are in the table, and remind them to have frequent toilet breaks too. Thank you.
Communication. Hi everyone, my name's Kate Powell and I'm one of the Stage 1 teachers at Denim Court.
And my name is Danielle Benson and I'm a teacher on early stage 1. The appropriate methods of contacting staff members of Denim Court Public School is by the office telephone between the hours of 8:45 and 3:30, and also by the school email. Our office leaders will then pass on any information to the appropriate person. You can find important updates and information regarding Denim Court Public School through the school website. Within the school website, newsletters can be found regarding important news, reminders, and updates. Finally, it is encouraged that you download the School Loop app on your devices, as important alerts and reminders will be pushed out to you.
Denim Court is also on Facebook and Twitter, so you can also connect with us through those social media channels for updates on the school newsletter or school achievements and other bits and pieces. Thanks.
I believe this one's me, is that right? I hope I'm not stepping on anyone's shoes, but arrival and dismissal. As I said to you at the beginning of this presentation, we're going to be introducing some staggered start and finish times for students. This information will be sent out to you in the coming week and a half with more details that regard to each of the cohort groups, as mentioned by Dace, that we need to stagger, so as to minimise the transference, I guess, of anything related to COVID-19. And there'll also be a comprehensive information about our kiss and ride process. One thing I can tell you is that we're going to be, as a new school, we're going to be very well supported by Schools Infrastructure New South Wales in terms of lots of support in helping, and Transport New South Wales in support in helping us to develop a smooth kiss and ride process that that keeps things moving very well around the school. Our two kiss and ride areas are along the main long one is along Elkhorn Street, and the other one is there's two of them, two smaller versions at the front of the school on Commissioners Drive. On Willowdale Drive, it is a bus zone, so there will not be any parking allowed in that area at any time. That's strictly for bus zones. So in order to have a successful kiss and ride program, we're going to be sending out information to you that will involve you putting a name plate in the front window of your car, and we will have some of our staff calling out to students who are waiting to come to their cars. Hello? All right, so I'm not sure how much of that, I seem to be muted every couple of minutes, so I apologise if that was interrupted, but our Kiss and Ride program information will come out to you very shortly. There was also a survey that was sent out for intention to enrol in term 4. So for those families who are commencing this year in 2021, if you haven't completed the survey, please use the link that's on that screen and complete the survey. This gives us our best data to be able to cater for all the students who come on board from the 18th and the 25th of October. So please fill in that form so that we can have the best information available to get support for the Kiss and Ride and also for in our classrooms. Thank you.
All right, so we just wanted to have a little bit of a time to respond to any frequently asked questions that were coming through the Q&A. There were lots and lots of questions today, and I think a lot of them were around uniform, which we have addressed already with Simone. But if you have any further inquiries around that, it would be easiest if you contact her via their website so that she can respond to each of you based on your particular circumstances. Did any of the staff, did you notice anything in particular that was coming through as a common thread or that you would like to respond to?
Stephanie, I think everything was answered along the way. There seems to be a couple coming through now, but most questions seem to be answered along the way. I did get one question that reminded me that back in the beginning of term 3, when we were going to open, we were going to have a donation process for library books. And we wanted this for 2 reasons. One, to bump up the resources in our fabulous library, because 1,000 books sounds like a lot, but it will soon deplete as kids borrow books. We'll have, you know, next year we'll have up to 500 kids borrowing books, so we need a lot of books for kids to borrow. The second part of that is that we want kids who are in their foundation year starting our Denim Court Public School to leave a little bit of a legacy behind. So we would like to have kids just donate their favourite book they've purchased to become a much loved resource in our library. And we have little nameplates that are all ready to stick in the front of the books to indicate when it was donated, so that then in the future, if kids want to come back and see the school that they started out with, because they're the first students in their school, then they can also go and have a look at the books that they donated to the library. So a little bit of a legacy for them to leave behind. So aside from that, I don't think there were any questions that were similar. I think they've all been answered individually, which is fantastic. Thank you very much to everyone on the panel for getting through the questions very quickly. If there are any further questions that you'd like to put in the chat, then feel free to do so. As to help us in delivering these kinds of things to you in the future, today was quite a lengthy process, we understand, but we wanted to give as much information to you as possible. Other presentations that we might make in this kind of realm would not be as long as this, because they'd be targeted to specific areas that would be of need to you. We'd ask you if you could please copy this QR code and complete this survey. It's just a very short one about how you felt about this presentation today, and give us an idea of any other areas that you'd like us to address as a community, whether you'd like any presentations on different things like literacy, numeracy, anything else in the future. We are going to be starting in the coming months and terms, looking into starting a P&C. So we'd love many of you out there to start thinking about being part of our P&C, our Parents and Citizens Association, and having an even greater say in how our great school continues into the future. So please take the time to scan that QR code and complete that very quick survey. There's only 2 questions. It's a rating of 1 to 5 about how you felt about today's presentation, and a question that asks for any ideas that you would like information on in the future. But aside from that, oh, Stephanie, you had...
Sorry, can I just add, there's a little bit, there's a couple of other questions in there, but they are repeated. So if you do jump on that survey and you notice that there's a question repeated, it's just about us having the opportunity to get some information from you about your children. Normally, in a normal school year without COVID, we would have things like Meet the Teacher, where you'd be able to come on site and give us information that we might find useful to support your children coming to us and being in our class. However, with our restrictions currently, we're not able to do those sorts of things. So after those few questions that Anna has already mentioned, there are repeated, in case you have multiple children who are starting with us, the same sort of question that just says, what year is your child in? And then, is there any information that you would like to give to us? And that information will be passed on to the classroom teachers of that stage.
We also just wanted to let everybody know, as per Mrs. Butler's email, that we will be hosting some Zooms next week for our students to participate in, and information about that will be sent out tomorrow. So we are very excited to be able to offer this for our students, so they'll be able to meet some of the teachers, and information about that will be sent. If you have any other questions, just let us know.
Just a question in the chat here, team, regarding the fact that there was a lot of information presented tonight. So there's no expectation that parents will remember every single thing, is there?
Not at all, and that's why we've recorded it, so that people can revisit as many times as they need to. And anytime you want to ask questions, as you can see, all staff are all very familiar with how our school operates, so you can ask any staff member, you can ask our office staff, they'll answer any questions by phone or email. Anytime you want to ask anything, we are all available to you. And yes, this presentation, there is a lot in it. I was going to apologise, but I'm not apologising. It is a lot that we want you to know, but we did record it so that you could reflect on it and go back to have a look at different bits of information in your own time, another time.
We've just put the survey up there again, as some people have been asking for that link once again. So if you wouldn't mind using your phone with the QR code, that's the easiest way to access that. Now, if you haven't had a chance, we'll share this again after the presentation for anybody that was unable to access it during this time.
All right, well, I think that's it. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Dace, for joining us. Thank you to all of the fabulous staff members at Denim Court. We have a great team ready to serve you and your kids, and we can't wait to have them on board. So thank you, everyone. Have a great evening, and we look forward to seeing you soon.